Alright, YouTube, Growing Meds. We are here about to turn this 4-light controller into 2 different timer circuits. Instead of it only running off 1 trigger, we're going to run it off 2. We're going to split them up so we can run 2 for the flower and 2 for the veg. So this is what the inside looks like. When I was purchasing it, they showed pictures of the inside and they only had one of the contactors in here, but when I received it, it didn't have no the contactors this style. They got it down in here with the computer board, control board, 2 separate relays inside there, but it only has 1 trigger still that controls that whole board, so you could only run 4 lights on 1 timer for how it's set up right now. I want this one to be able to control the whole garden. So it's a 120 volt trigger, so, and it's a 30 amp circuit. So on here we're gonna be running 240 volt out to it. It's rated for 30 amps. Big thing on here, you look for the coil voltage, you have to make sure, focus, you have to make sure it says 120 volt on it, because a lot of times they're 24 volt coil that activates it. If you hook up 120 to a 24 volt coil, you're gonna end up frying it instantly. But yep, so what the plan is to get both these working here, get this board pulled out. I got more wire for it. They had old light that didn't work no more for fish tank, that I just cut the cord off of it. I'm gonna use that. So basically you split the wires in half and one goes to one side, the other goes to the other side, and the plug part will plug into the timer that's plugged into the wall. So when the timer activates to turn on, it's going to send your power up to one side, and then your common's going to be on the other going back, and that's going to activate the coil, make it a magnet, and it's going to suck the contacts down so your power can pass through. So that cord's going to control one, and then the regular trigger cord that came with it and everything is going to control the second one. So let's I'm going to turn you guys off. I'm going to unscrew those holding down, disconnect all these wires, and basically gut everything. I'm going to leave the terminal block in here and both plugs, and that's it. We'll be right back. Alright, so I got the board out. Left all the wires intact. But yep, so stuck the little wires, control wires, and the indicator light to the side. I left the ground wires that was hooked up. Those are a must. Gotta have them. And this is a steel box, so, but the ground wire is hooked in there, and then it's on the frame of the plug that's riveted to the side of the box. So that's where the main power gets hooked up at. Now we got to push those over. Get these. It's kind of a tight fit. Alright, sorry about that. Phone cut out. But yep, so here we are. Leave it like that. I got some sheet metal screws. Go in, anchor them down. I'm gonna hit all four corners. And then it's kind of thin metal, so when I'm done, I'm gonna end up cutting part of this off because it's gonna be sticking out the back of it. All right, let me get these screwed down so we could start wiring it up. All right, so we got them screwed in, tacked all four corners. Now I am going to take the black wire, run it from the L1 over to one side, and then L1 over to one side. And then the L2, that's our line 2, we're going to run that to the other side of the contactor. One going to each contactor, so they're both going to be getting power fed to each of them. You'll have two lines of power. Alright, we got some connectors, some little end connectors. And just gonna cut the wire. I know it's a little tight fit, but we can make it work. Alright, be right back. Alright, so here we are. We got one of the black lines tied in, hooked up going to one side, and the other one coming down going into the other one. So yeah, so now we're going to come to the L2 here, the middle one, do the same thing, just run it over straight up to those ones. Alright, so I'm going to cut some wire, crimp some fittings on the ends, and run them. Be right back. Alright, so here we are, back. We got those two blue ones hooked up, so we got power going to both poles now. They were kind of a pain in the ass because how short the wires are, and I'm using a thicker gauge wire than what they had in here, which is okay. You could always go bigger size up wire thickness, which is smaller the number, the thicker the wire. But I went ahead and put some clamps, some fittings on the low voltage, well, the trigger side. It's the one that was hooked in here. And we got them running up to one contactor, and then there's the wire for it, and then hooked up. This is going to be the second one. Got that coming in. This is where the main power is going to be getting fed into, so I tied a little knot on it so it can't get pulled through. And also when the bigger line goes in, you tighten that down. Come on, focus, son. But yeah, it gets tied down. The main power runs in there, and then when you tighten those up, it pinches the wires so it can't pull out. So with that going in there, that'll help hold that too. And same thing, I have it coming up, going over here to this side. It don't matter which side you hook these up. You could reverse them, it don't matter. It's basically, you just gotta make sure you got a path coming in, and then a path coming back out for a return. You gotta go through, make sure all your wires, you can pull on all the wires, none feels loose. Loose wires will cause hot spots, and that can end up burning up your wires and stuff like that. Just gotta be real careful, real safe with it. It's pretty simple. But yeah, so we got all the power, the main power gets hooked up, all the power gets distributed out to both these contactors. We got the trigger lines hooked up and in. Now we gotta come through on this side and take one to each side. Yep. So bring one over, and then the other one goes down on the other side. You see down there that's hooked up, so we only have to run one wire to each side because they're bridged together still. So it's going to feed both outlets with just one side of wire going to it. But yeah, it's not that hard. Yeah, pretty much anybody can do it. But I do gotta say, as soon as you open it up and start tinkering with it like that, yeah, you'll automatically void your warranty. But that's okay, I'm not worried about it. So for right now, for how I have stuff set up, this here can control all my lights. It control 4 lights, 2 flower, 2 veg. If I want to transfer it over just to have 4 lights in flower or 4 lights in veg, down here at that I would have to, instead of having 2 separate wires, I'd disconnect one set, and then I could run a jumper from this side over on that second prong sitting there. I could run that over, and I would just have to bring another line from here over and tie it in. I could tie it in with that side. That's how it has 2 prongs there also. And then that could feed the return back. So it's adding 2 wires to it, disconnecting 2 wires to it, and it will be right back to normal. And then if anything ever does go wrong, then I can always just throw the old board, put the old board right back in it. Those are the contactors I ended up using. Why it's not focusing right. There we go. 2 poles, 120 volt coil, 30 full load amps. And that's what I'm running. It's gonna be a 30 amp breaker running out to it. So yeah, let me finish this up and show the finished product pretty much. Thanks. Alright, so here we are. You can see we got feeding over. Same with the white one. Coming down to the other side. So now this plug will get power from this one. This plug will give power to this one. See, it's done wrapped around down, hooked up. Gave everything a good tug. Nothing's loose. Sorry, smoking a little bit. This is a little bit of that White Widow. But I undid the screws. I'll show you. I'm gonna open up the cap. This is what the inside of them look like. So main powers are gonna be fed in. We're gonna have one leg of each come in. And that's the contactor part. We'll try to plug it in real quick. Kind of rough holding on to it. Grab the phone there. Oh, I'm not gonna too close. Oh, shit. Alright. There we go. That's me plugging it in and out, so it will be set up in a wall timer. When time on, it's going to click closed, and then it's going to be able to pass that power down through to the switch, to the plug, which turn your light on. So now you can see that only one side is actually clicking. Not this side, just this one. That's that plug I tied up and ran over, so yeah. It's all working, looking good. Kind of a tight little space that I was trying to work those wires down into, but that's how you change one 4-light controller into 2 different controllers. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe. Hopefully I got time by the end of this weekend. I can get all this hooked up and started, and we'll do another little video on that too. Alright, you guys, everyone have a good one. And have a fun, safe holiday. Merry Christmas. Peace.